already closed.
We did.
I think, did you give me three? You gave me two Field of
I
Dreams.
know I signed 3.
Yeah, and one of them, I think the money was already returned, so
Okay.
I didn't include it in this packet. But it'll go up online as soon as
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's October 4th, 2023. It's just about 5 p.m. This is the Community Preservation Act Committee. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8, not 18, and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. And I'm looking at the agenda and I am going to put off item number 2 until the end of the meeting and go immediately to 3 review applications received to date. And I'm going to ask Paul if there's anything that's been received to date. I'm aware from prior conversations that there's something
have-
probably coming in from,
We have one
okay,
fine gentleman from that project is here also, I see. For the reconstruction of the old schoolhouse north wing classroom, so historic.
For preservation.
so, okay, so you have the 12
Yes.
copies? Okay.
So
And
I didn't know if you wanted to, we can hand them out today, or if you want me to keep them until the deadline, and we usually just pick them all out as one
I
package.
Yeah.
Keep them, make a package with them.
Yeah.
And Stacy, you got the cover? The Excel spreadsheet I sent you?
yes, I did. Thank
Okay.
you.
so we have the application for the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
And I was just talking with Ed, and we're probably going to be seeing something about the Eastham Elementary School, although that's not here yet.
They may not meet the deadline, but they'll send in a letter saying that they are forwarding an application. We
Okay.
really kind of just started working on it this
Yeah.
morning.
Mm. Okay, so you're going to keep the 12 some odd copies and put them in a packet, and hopefully, well, our next meeting is the quote unquote deadline.
Yes,
So hopefully we'll have some
Yeah,
additional
so-
ones and put them in a packet for everybody.
yeah, so it sounds like we'll have a placeholder for the elementary school. The one for the historic for 580 Massasoit at the thrift shop. Probably gonna be a placeholder, because we're still waiting on budget numbers from the engineering consultant.
And have you heard anything from the CD? Have you heard anything from the CDP on their usual workshops?
No.
Okay. And-
Well, just so we're on that topic, they did send out a email, which I'll forward to all the various committees about this coming year's housing
The Housing Institute.
Housing
Workshops.
Institute. Yeah, so I'll forward it to all of the boards, but I just got it yesterday, so that one's.
Yeah,
up
I
and
saw it. I mean, I got a copy too.
Yeah, there's some good programs
Yeah,
coming.
yeah. And are we going to be seeing something from the Affordable Housing Trust?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions regarding the situation or the status of the applications?
Since he's here, do you want him to introduce? I mean.
Well,
oh,
do
send
you
him
care
a-
to say a word?
I'd just like to go to a meeting, especially if there was something coming up. We have in our application 3 bids. We've got another one in, and we're hoping to get another one for the last month.
So that information will be funneled to Paul so that when we finally get them.
If it changes our layout in our spreadsheet. Radically. there's no bid.
And we're working, my office is working with Peter on the regulatory piece, so this will go to the planning board for a courtesy review, and I spoke with Dan's the chair of the planning board. It kind of falls doesn't fall in a clear category because of the use and the nonprofit status, so it'll go for what we call a courtesy review. It does need to go to the Old Town Center Historic District. And we're working on getting those things lined up and
Yeah, we're just getting the application in. Have you review it and then we'll get the planning department. Both paperwork into them, and work that out so that it's done by the time you.
For our next meeting.
it won't be done for next meeting, but we'll probably be able to get on the December planning board.
Hmm.
And the old town, so everything will be wrapped up by January. Before final votes and everything are done, if not sooner, but.
I had expressed some concerns regarding the eligibility in terms of building a new wing on an old building and type of construction. Will we get some answers from the state on that?
We will. I sent a note to Chase Mack and he asked for the information, so I sent it to him, so they'll get back to us.
The reason I ask it is, I don't know if there's options in terms of the construction methods in order to reflect history, as opposed to just building a new box. So
Meeting prior.
not just that. I mean, historic preservation, in my mind, I think we've had some applications where it was perhaps a little more expensive to do things the way things were done back then, as opposed to all new construction materials, building a wing on a building. And does that qualify for historic? So that was.
So I did do some quick research on it, but for the historic category, reconstruction isn't allowed use. And so replacing or replicating a former historic building or part of the building. So I think it's fine there. Actually, when you go through and all of this is relevant to the Department of Interior design guidelines. So it does talk about that you're reconstructing something that was there, but it actually is supposed to be like, you're not restoring something that's like partially there,
Correct.
Mhm.
So it actually has language that talks about the way that you restore it should be like clear that it's new, So this goes to, if you're replicating, so I think where we're going with this is that I don't anticipate any issues, but it's actually, you're not supposed to have it completely like for like. You're supposed to
Right.
have it, you're recreating something, you're not restoring something that was there.
So for example, would they allow vinyl siding?
No,
Yeah, I mean, these are reasons
yeah.
I think we need to know
Mhm.
that. We need to know what
What-
criteria we're going to approve this on in
Mhm.
terms of maintaining historic
The
preservation.
architect that we.
Excuse, Peter, you want to come to
Yeah.
the table?
And introduce him.
Yeah.
We're not in a public hearing. We're doing informal discussion with you at the moment.
Yeah, Peter, I think you know Ed Casarella and Carolyn McPherson. Me and Dan and Stacy are
The
the,
architect,
Excuse me. For the
and,
people.
and we have Tina Tilton, our financial, Mark Herman Janet Benjamin. I did not see her earlier.
What I meant, Mary, I'm sorry, was for the people, audience who don't know who he is. Who is this guy?
I'm
Yeah.
the point man for the North Wing addition,
Okay,
reconstruction.
and your name is,
Peter Williams,
okay, and you're on the Historic Commission?
the Eastham Historical Society,
Okay, right,
not the commission.
yes, got it. Thank you very much.
The architect that we picked also did the original addition that you approved, reconstruction,
Okay,
and he used the same criteria that you used then for this.
Okay.
So, it has the wood shingles and the wood ceiling, wood roof and all that stuff, and it's going to he's used the same criteria he worked with for this reconstruction as the other one.
Good.
And there was also, I put in the application that the state says you can rebuild something as long as you can prove that it was there originally. You can't build something that wasn't there. And
Does
we
it have to be the same size as what was there? Is that part of the criteria?
We have pictures of it. We have a little, there are a couple of historical comments. And we use those pictures to come up with the
Good.
size.
Good.
And there's windows in one picture that are less than more windows, and we've picked the lesser window design so that we could have a little more display space for artifacts.
You have to meet ADA requirements that weren't required back then.
I think the building already meets ADA.
Mhm.
The ramp that's there on the back,
Mhm.
the architect says that's not needed anymore. It was never really needed
Mhm.
Oh,
because we have the ramp in
The
the
front.
front. So that he's eliminated that. And we're adding another bathroom. But it doesn't need to be handicapped if it's accessible. Because we already have one, it is.
Okay.
Paul, this doesn't hit any other category, does it, other than historic preservation as far as we're concerned? Okay,
No, I couldn't figure out a way.
well,
Not-
it had an affordable unit in the back.
So bunk
I
bed.
says
We can put an apartment above it.
well, or a playground in the field or something.
Well, that would beg the question, though, if they decided to put an apartment above, but the original structure didn't have an apartment above, is that historic preservation?
I don't know, did the school teacher live?
In the building?
Back in the day or something?
Might have, there was no areas that
Yeah.
you could have a cot really, and it's
Okay.
basically a
So,
one room with a couple closets.
But actually in like that doesn't necessarily disqualify. You could add on,
Well, what I was thinking, I'm not sure anybody's gonna propose this, but if there were a adjacent structure or connected structure where you replicated the original, but you tacked on an affordable unit, would it qualify as two
I don't think.
funds?
I don't think the site is big enough
Okay.
for that.
Okay,
We, planning and zoning, we have a little problem with
Okay.
something like that. For that site,
okay, thank you.
are you sure?
I think.
An ADU?
Are you trying to build an apartment?
What a better thing than a workforce house for a teacher?
it's,
In a
Somebody who will
schoolhouse,
take
you-
care of the wood stove.
Right, right. I mean,
I,
I don't know how much land is there and I don't know what the septic system is.
well,
Yeah,
it
that
doesn't
was my other
matter.
question,
It doesn't,
would be
the
the
land doesn't matter. It's the,
Septic.
oh, that's it. It's the septic is the primary driver and then possibly the site coverage limit, but how big is that lot? We're going off on a tangent here, but
Yeah, I know.
But it's.
how
a
big
good
is the
one.
lot? I don't know offhand, but
I mean, it seems like it's a reasonable,
I mean, it doesn't have any dimensions on the site plan here. Does he have it on the architectural site plan?
it's 34,000, a little over 34,000. So
And
Three
we,
quarters of an
three
acre.
quarters of an acre.
and because the size of the buildings. Wings are at such a size, the building official has requested we go to planning and zoning. Because of the size.
well, I would say there's nothing on the face of it that would. It's worth looking into.
I'll look into it and I'll see if,
I'll be glad to talk with you about it. We're fighting for every housing unit we can get. And well, appropriate to have something that might be used for a teacher. Or a fireman or,
it. I'm trying to the problem is that the site is so small that if you add another 800 square feet
To what's already there.
to what's there, and we're adding 800 now, and everybody is saying, oh, where are we gonna have room for all our art displays and,
but what about a second story?
then
On the new part?
Then you'd have to have separate entrance, you'd have.
Well,
to have-
that begs the question, if the original building was 1 story and you wanted to add an ADU on the second floor, are you technically violating historic preservation?
Ending
Because
up with a building
with
that
a bu-
wasn't.
That wasn't there originally,
Mm.
a second floor on a building that didn't have a second
well,
floor.
you could put a dormer off the back. And put us, instead of having, the main display room is now,
So,
that's what
yeah.
we're planning to do. You would have to go and put a
A flat,
ceiling in,
flat ceiling
flat ceiling in,
to have a second floor.
and then. Put a dormer off the back. And then find some parking, additional parking, which
Right.
it's very
Right,
limited
right.
in parking.
We just need one.
I think that,
And you're probably talking. Doubling the cost.
Mm,
absolutely.
But there could be money to help pay for that.
yeah.
I think the problem might be how specific the state would get in reviewing this from the standpoint of building something that wasn't there. That's
Well,
the concern I would have.
You-
In other words, you would be,
can- In my history, review of you can
Oh.
build something and then use it for something different.
correct,
As long as it doesn't really change the.
correct. But the
Mhm.
problem is, can you put a second floor in a building with historic preservation money that didn't have a second floor?
Well, the,
Well, we
I don't
wouldn't
think they'd be
using-
looking for historic preservation money. I think they're talking.
But it might
about-
violate the initial grant.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a 2 story building that
Originally.
that you are replicating.
What about the thrift shop? Aren't we building another apartment above there?
Well, there's a second
There
floor
are
and the
cars.
third floor, but they were there
I just
before.
one, but was there ever a second? And
Yes,
why?
there
There
was.
was.
Yeah,
Oh, there
there
was,
was,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
third floor.
yeah.
Well, I don't mean to take us down a tangent, but it's certainly worth,
I think a detached or attached, not second floor. Would be
You'd have to. come
an
off-
option, and
you'd
there
have to
could
come-
be. You could tap into other funding sources to offset that.
You'd
part
have
of
to
it.
come off a preservation way. Where the old, and make a driveway where.
A driveway, yeah.
Where the old well was.
well,
That actually would make sense from the standpoint
On the
of
north side,
separation of the residential use of
You
the
know,
property
From the
versus
historic.
versus the
Well-
schoolhouse museum portion. but-
We're
I know, well,
we've
way
definitely
off-
gone on a
way
tangent,
off, way off
but
base.
but
Yeah.
there is a relevant piece that, so when this goes to planning board, again, it's a courtesy review, so the board's not really gonna be empowered to like say, no, it doesn't really work that way anyways, but and the historic component of this is pretty straightforward, so it's gotta, but what the planning board does look at is the rest of the site, and so I would recommend figuring out what the parking situation is there now, and that,
Well,
because that's definitely within the planning board purview, well, what the parking is, circulation. And I know that
we're
basically
adding,
up on the dirt,
we're adding 800 square feet, but it's mostly display area, so the
There's no parking requirement. for it.
the parking shouldn't be made more increased or impact what's there already.
Well, you need to say that at our planning board meeting.
Yes,
You'll do
yeah.
that.
well, I guess,
I looked at trying to figure
Right.
out what parking was required in there, but I kind of got the feeling that the impact of this north wing would not greatly impact the flow of people in and out of the museum.
I guess the primary thing, it's not so much that you have to increase the parking, but the parking that you have now
Is not,
would be I guess the burden's gonna be on you to just demonstrate to the planning board that what you have for parking now is sufficient. This isn't gonna require more parking, but also the way that the parking is laid out is sufficient.
For
which is
example,
you
if
have
you're putting a wing where parking exists now,
no,
I'm just saying, if you were,
Mm.
you would have to find new parking, but you're not. So that's fine.
But the parking that is there now
Is
is
not
up
enough.
on the side of the road.
I
when
know.
People back out
Right.
onto Schoolhouse Road, so
And you got parking there, you're parking
the National
across the
Seashore.
street, and then you're parking at the seashore.
The seashore is a no-brainer, but
Mm.
people don't like to walk.
right, but you can't necessarily
You can't use
use
it, yeah.
someone else's parking to offset. So I guess that would be a recommendation is to look at the parking layout, because now's the time to make any improvements that might be available there. Because it's kind of informal parking there now.
And also, we would review signage, and if you were planning any new signage, that would be part of
At
the
this
plan.
time, the only new signage would be to the signage for this.
But that is a separate sign.
You would need to make sure that people are aware that it's a reconstruction, not a existing building that was
Oh, you mean during construction or after construction?
after construction.
So like a plaque kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's not, I
But
mean,
that
this is
wouldn't
as
be-
long as it conforms to the sign bylaw, but that's not really an
Okay.
issue.
I mean, if we go to planning and they say you need X amount of more spaces, there's no gonna be any room for any additional
Right.
apartments or anything.
Okay.
any other questions from Zoom or the table here?
You had it.
So
Well, I'm
we'll,
glad you came. I mean,
I-
this is good.
yeah, thank you.
Give
for
you some
coming.
direction.
We're looking forward to reading your application.
Like Alexia.
Take your
strikes.
copy tonight.
How many pages is it?
14.
14?
Alrighty.
That's
well,
light
Okay.
reading.
Yeah,
Have
right.
a nice
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much,
you.
Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Take care.
Okay, I'm going to go on to item number 4 of the agenda, review Community Preservation Coalition dues notice, and I believe Stacy put in the packet the dues notice for $3,500. That's exactly what we paid last year. They have changed the timing for the payment, so you might wonder why we're paying it relatively soon compared to when we paid it before. But it's now on a fiscal year. So if people are agree to proceed with the coalition, we need a motion to pay $3,500 the dues for us for the coming fiscal year 24. I have an extra.
That's okay. That was-
Are there any questions regarding the dues of $3,500 to the coalition?
I so move.
Second,
I have Carolyn and Ed. Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Janet? You're muted.
Aye.
Aye.
There you
1,
go.
2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6-0.
Yep.
Carolyn first, Ed second. 3,500 to be paid from the administrative account. Okay, I'm going to go on to item number 5, review the CPA Windmill Weekend Table, and Stacy brought down the 2 posters that she had made by, I think you went to Staples?
Yeah.
That we brought to the Windmill Weekend. I did set up a table and 2 chairs, which thanks to Paul and Rachel and other town hall folk that gave me the table and the 2 chairs. I thank Carolyn for her visor. I didn't have a tent, so it was from the sunny section. And Stacy stopped by and gave me a bathroom break, and Mark stopped by for a short while. So I was there and I would say that it was, from my perspective, it was a positive thing to do. I had a number of folks that stopped by and asked questions. I won't go through the types of questions they asked, et cetera, et cetera. But I would just like to say that I thought it was a positive thing to do. I think it was best to have a booth rather than in under the tent where a number of committees were, because I think I had a jewelry sale on one side and something else on the other side. So people were meandering around and you were just down the way a bit. And I think I got more people checking out, asking questions, talking than I might have had under a tent where all bunch of other committees were listed or shown, or however you want to phrase it. So does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Mark, for stopping by.
Okay.
Any questions from anybody as to doing it? And next time we had the posters, Stacy did the posters so we can use them again. There's no dates on them. So they'll be useful next year. And so I would like to recommend that we do it again next year. Any comments regarding the whole Windmill Weekend situation?
No, just if other events similar to that come up during the course of the year, I
Uh-huh.
mean, we're having a Halloween thing on a green
Mm.
for Halloween, so,
At the green.
yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know, it's
Yeah, I don't know who's.
the rec department
No,
is
no,
doing
but I
it.
mean, what's.
We'll have displays, we'll have people that, we'll be selling jewelries and stuff and,
Hmm.
we'll have games for the kids, we have pumpkin decoration contests on, I mean, if you think it's appropriate, I mean, one way or another,
Yeah,
but it's another event on the green.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And, there's sometimes in the past, we've used the green for the Turnip Festival. I'm not sure what we're doing this year. I haven't heard the
It's another good place too.
yeah. Yeah, so we'll have to see. And Hands on the Arts, that's another time when we use the green.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Ed. Okay. On to number 6 of the agenda. And Tina passed out earlier the information. First, I just want to say thank you to Tina. I had never seen the CP3 report. And it was due on September 15th, which she met the requirements for. It's the thing that we need to file in order to get our state matching funds. I didn't ask Stacy to put it in the packet because it's huge. But I didn't know if anybody would like to see it. It's here. And I want to thank Tina for the work for doing that, because it's quite large. The other comment before I get into specifics, the Eastham Town Hall that we approved last year for $680,000. The sub bids have been received and approved, but the general bid, which we did receive, has now been withdrawn. And we're going back out again. And so I think they're due to be open tomorrow at 2:00. I don't know whether you've heard anything about any responses or whether we've received anything. But the lowest bid that we got was 95,000 over the 680 that we originally approved. So I don't know what we're going to see tomorrow, but that's an issue. And the only other thing is that we did get, when I ordered the CPA signs and Paul kindly picked them up, we got 12 more signs. And I think one of the things we need to do is to make sure that all of the various projects that we have supported need to have those signs put up. And I think we'll probably have to sort of drive around and see. I haven't,
Did he want? to put
I
up
haven't
on
seen the
that?
one out here. I know.
I haven't looked.
They took it down
Yeah.
when they were
before
doing the
they're
work.
Work.
Yeah, and
Get it back up.
yeah, needs to be. And this lighthouse, I don't believe there's one down there. There are a bunch of places that need to, now that we have the signs, need to have them put up.
If
So,
we- I don't know if we put one up. a
Need to
while.
put one up, Wiley.
Oh, we could put it up when we do the
Yeah.
shade shelter.
So back to the financial info, the CPA, I'll start with the CPA cash balance. And I'll ask for questions in a minute, but I just want to comment that we have received about 5,127 in tax collections, and the taxes are due November 1st. So we should be seeing probably a little bit more for September. But because this is as of the end of August.
Those tax collections are actually FY 23, late money coming in.
The 5,000 is late money coming in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we haven't seen anything yet for
It
people that
shows up in September.
paying early, because I received my tax bill, so.
Yeah, did you make a mistake on those?
So the 5,000 that's on here is really fiscal year 23. Okay, the other thing I had thought was interesting, Tina, was the 21,000 for the investment income.
Yes, ma'am.
That's only for 2 months.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's going to be, I think the last time we talked, the monies were at Cape Cod 5 and they were earning something like 5% or something like that. I can't remember. I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact amount either.
Yeah. So that's going to be, because the interest rates are high, that's going to be a goodly sum this year. So that was interesting. I do have a question under the disbursements, under the historic.
Yes, ma'am.
You've got 21,395.83, and I did some research and looked at numbers, and that's really taken from the original amount that we put in for the town hall way back when.
Right.
I was just wondering why you took that money out of the old fiscal year 21 account versus the new account.
I will always use the old money first.
Hmm.
And the old money already had the purchase order attached to it where the work was already in place, I think. This is preliminary work. But this is for stuff that's coming out of the old money, the first money that you approved, and it's work that Keenan and Kelly are doing, and maybe Paul could speak to that better than I can, what they're actually doing.
They're working on the town hall project and also on the 580 Massasoit project, doing the architectural engineering analysis. So their work is going to give us the budget numbers for the upcoming renovation for this year's CPA application.
So I guess my question is still that's not associated or related to the 680 that we approved last year versus the monies that we had in the account for fiscal year 21. I was thinking that it would be taken out of the 680.
Why do you think that,
Oh.
Mary? Why wouldn't we use the first one that was voted? Because it was voted for the same exact reason.
I know. But I was just thinking that we didn't take that into account when we did the 680, so. I
We
mean,
did the 300,000?
yeah, the 300,000, right?
Yeah, we took, I thought we considered that because we knew we already had 300,000, so they only asked for 680.
If I remember correctly, the cost that came in was 620, and I added 60 to make it 680.
But I'm saying they only asked because they already had that 300 in there.
Yeah.
So they already knew that that was going to be cover a big cost of the outside work to the town hall.
Well, I guess what is
It's the same.
the issue? We have there was 2 tranches of money
Right.
using the Tina's taking it from the first
Mhm.
before she dips into the newer one. But it's all for the same.
So are you saying that we have 680 and 218 for the project?
Yes,
Yeah, because there was, we, remember the first round,
Oh,
we came in,
Oh, I know.
we actually allocated more money. We gave money back or didn't take all of it because we thought we underestimated. A lot of that work on the roof got paid for
Yeah,
the
the
insurance. So money got turned back and then we realized we were severely under budget. So we came back with round 2 for the 680. We're gonna still be under
Well, yeah, we're,
budget.
That makes sense to me.
yeah, I just thought that when we did the 680, that was a new project, and that was to be the total for the project itself. And it didn't involve the 300 because we hadn't been able to accomplish it, but
Well, the 300, the project always was the rehab of the building.
mm. Yeah.
We had
no, I
300
realize, yeah,
that goes to the
that's why I said it.
rehab and the building and the 680 goes to the rehab of the building. It just came in 2 separate
Mhm.
packages.
Okay, the only other comment that I have is under the administrative expenses, and that's where we show the 1560 and that's for the signs that we paid, the CPA signs, yeah. Yeah. Are there any questions from anybody regarding the CPA cash balance? No? Yep, okay. I'm going to go on to the project list. And we have 2 items that have come in for final reports, so I'm very happy about that, and I thank Ed for his work on that. It's the second item and the third item, both Field of Dreams. And I think Stacy passed out to everybody that's here the final reports. The first one is for the Field of Dreams Playground resurfacing. And that's item number 3 on the list of the projects. And I have a question, Ed, on the report, you have the funding amount as 70,000.
Yep.
But we have on our accounting sheets 71,000.
I think that's a different project.
I just looked at the grant application. Did we add money to it maybe?
Yeah, I think we added because it's.
Tina, do you know if we have 70 or 71,000 on that project?
I'm trying to figure out which project you're talking about.
The Field of Dreams Playground resurfacing.
It's the fiscal year 19. It's the third item. on-
No, no,
So that's the one, that's another one, Mary.
One,
Fiscal year
two.
22, Mary, about 2/3 of the way down. Or halfway down. And
Yeah,
then
about halfway down Field of Dreams Playground resurfacing.
project 585028.
Oh, fiscal year 22.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so that was 70
Mhm.
and you've got 816900. Yeah, okay, so we're okay with that. So I guess I have a question. So wait a minute. So the second item, not the second item. So the third item still isn't finished, right? The Field of Dreams project for fiscal year 19, that was 71,000?
No, that's still open because we haven't completed the fencing yet. That's why we left that open.
Okay,
Oh.
fencing.
Yep.
Okay, so I was incorrect and I apologize. So we are on to
Just
the,
as a suggestion, maybe, since because it does get confusing,
yeah. fiscal
maybe
year
on
22.
the
On the
report,
reports for the year that it was.
the year, and since Tina gives each project an account number, it would be helpful to put the account number on the report, even if
Okay.
it's handwritten.
Yeah,
Stacy,
'cause I
when
did
that comes
handwrite 'em.
into you,
Yep.
Account numbers.
that way, with projects
Mhm.
that have multiple,
Yeah.
Right,
mu-
phases.
mu- Multiple
we'll-
You know which
parts.
phase we're talking
Yeah.
about.
like the town hall project,
Mhm.
this, others.
So we have the final report for it's the fiscal year 22 Field of Dreams Playground resurfacing. It began with a budget of 70,000 and we've got 8,169 left, which agrees with Tina's report. Are there any questions on this
I think
project?
it was a great project and
Oh, yeah.
all you have to do is look out the door when you came in.
I know, it's very active.
Well,
very
things are
active.
really busy out there. I think they have soccer,
Soccer.
soccer.
But
Yeah.
lots of people using the playground.
Yeah. Do I have I believe we need a motion to approve the final report of the Field of Dreams Playground resurfacing with an unexpended fund balance of 8,169 to return to the original account from
work.
which it came from.
I make a motion that we accept the final
I'll
report.
second.
So let me see, that is. Okay, that is Ed first, was it?
Yeah.
And then Carolyn,
Sure.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-0. Okay, well, that's down here. 6-0. And we have one other final report included with the information that Stacy passed out earlier. And that is also having to do with the Field of Dreams, the construction. And that was originally 500,000, and that was fiscal year 17. That's the second item on the list. Began as 500,000. It has an unexpended amount of 1,778.73. And are there any questions on, was that, what exactly was that for? I think it's.
That was our, that was our original grant, you know, to do the basketball court,
Oh,
the
the
basketball courts.
Oh,
the playground.
okay.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was in 2017.
Yeah.
Well, that also covered the
Yeah,
dugouts.
the
The
dugouts.
dugouts.
That took, that was delayed.
That's what
COVID.
held it up.
Yeah,
That's what kind of really held everything up because of COVID and trying to get somebody to build them at a.
yeah, and the tech
school
students
finally.
actually ended up doing, which was a good project, but it got delayed with the logistics for that.
So do I have any questions on the final report guidelines filed for the Field of Dreams construction? Do I have a motion to approve the unexpended fund balance of 1,778.73 to be returned to the account from which the original 500,000 came from?
So moved.
A second.
That is. That's Dan and Ed, right?
Correct.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
5,
6,
6.
0. Okay. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Ed.
Excellent job.
Yeah.
That one was a long time coming to get it done.
I know.
This is a big project.
You must be happier than we are.
Great great asset.
They're kind of all coming to an end now. We're kind of wrapping them all up.
Yeah,
Once you get that shade shelter in over at Wiley Bar.
yeah. So there are still two.
Yeah.
There's the, let me see.
I'll definitely have a Wiley Park Recreation
Yeah.
Area F20.
Yeah.
The $22,000 one for you next time. I
Yeah.
thought I had that, Stacy, but
Mhm.
if you just check. if-
I will
if
che-
it's
no, I
not
know I-
around, I'll rewrite it.
No, I have it.
You have the final report.
I do. I don't know why I didn't put it in here.
Okay, so we close that out the next.
Is
meeting.
that the original 22,000 that had?
Yes.
Yeah, that was for
9,000.
the playground consultant and the architect, landscape architect.
Yep. Is there show 9,000? What does it show
Yep,
for unexpended? The 9,073,
Yep,
Yes.
93? Okay,
Yeah.
terrific. All righty. Let's see, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question on the fourth one down, open space monitoring. It was approved in 2020. It was $6,000. The still 6,000. What's going on? Do we know anything about it?
Yeah, got
Will it
delayed.
happen?
It is, yes, it's happening.
Okay.
Our new conservation agent is working with Open Space Committee to get that revived and up and running.
So they do need the money and they're gonna spend it.
Yes.
Okay. That's my question.
Any other questions on the project list?
No, I see that the Orleans housing project for the 100,000 grant that we gave them, we conditioned that on the fact that it was gonna be up and running and going, and then we were gonna be towards the end giving them money. And it's not going, so.
Well, we didn't give them the money.
I'm
yet.
glad we didn't give you money.
Yeah, and Carolyn gave me some information from a gentleman associated with it and said that he would be willing to come in and talk to us. And I think that they're supposed to be starting based on the information that you sent me
Right.
shortly.
I don't remember the specifics, but a satisfactory answer of it's just moving forward slowly in terms of getting all the financing together. And
I can imagine
sort
it's a
of
nightmare.
typical. Yeah,
Yeah.
When we did ours off of Brackett Road,
Yeah.
right.
everything was relatively assured you were getting these fundings, and it's just today it's not around.
And actually, the Brackett Road one went very quickly.
It did.
Compared to a lot of projects.
It did.
So, but we've been in communication and.
Mhm. Okay.
They're doing all the right things.
So if at some point people would like to have the gentleman that Carolyn received information from to speak to us, that would be a possibility, but I'll leave
I
it.
would think only after it's
Yeah,
begun.
it hasn't.
Yeah, I don't see any reason.
It
to
had
bring it in
a
now.
schedule there and
Yeah.
it was to be done,
Right.
starting shortly.
Okay,
Well, yeah, they're working.
so
for
maybe
all-
next year that may.
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions, comments regarding the list of projects? I think that's it for that item. Okay, I'm going to go on to the CPA 5-year plan update, and I'll let Paul give us an update.
The update is I issued requests for quotes to 3 consultants that do this type of work, and we're just waiting for results. So I had October, I believe October 18th was the deadline to get a proposal back. Because of the budget for this, we have to go with our request for quotes rather than a request for proposals, just based on the public procurement requirements. So we basically have to take the low bidder, whoever that might be. So I haven't heard anything back yet. So the requirement is to solicit 3 quotes and then whatever we get back.
Did we reach out to Jen Goldston?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep. So everyone's so busy. I just hoping we get something to work with here with a
Let's hope we
response,
don't get
but
Sticker shock too, I think.
well,
Expected.
Mhm.
well.
No, it's going to
the-
be more than we paid before, probably.
Yeah, but we still, so I was explicit, I was as explicit as I could be in the RFQ to basically say what we're working with. And I mean, the fact that we're doing an RFQ and RFP signals that it's under $50,000.
Right.
So hopefully everyone responds accordingly. I'm sure it'll be 49,900.
49,999.
All right.
But, you know, what I don't want to do is, I think we talked about this last time, but it's always kind of a tricky call to make, because even if you have the budget for something, you go for an RFP, the budget's, and then you got to start over again and redo. So I just said, let's just go with the RFQ process. And
See what happens.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
so worst, I guess, best case scenario, if we get something going in November, and then, you know, it'll be a lot of work. The goal is to have it done by next July, so.
Well, the good news is we have a good template. I mean, we did a really thorough job the last time in terms of setting up a template, a structure, goals and objectives and things like that. So some of that is work that has to be maybe reviewed, but not necessarily, we're not starting from a blank piece of paper.
Right.
So that will make it easier process.
Yeah, so, I mean, if we don't get anything back, we'll have to reassess the situation and
So what was the deadline that you mentioned as far as getting the quotes
I
were?
believe it was October 18th, so
Did you say it was, sorry?
October 18th,
Oh, 18.
like the third week in October, I think it was the
Okay.
18th I put.
So we should know
Yeah, and I sent it out last week, so.
for our next meeting.
Yep.
Yeah. Any questions for Paul on the 5-year plan update? Thanks, Paul. I'm going to unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to phrase it, go back to item number 2.
I have a suggestion for item number 2.
Let's take it all.
If everybody has reviewed and does not have any comments, I would like to make a motion for approving all 9 by reading the dates as written. Unless somebody has a problem with that.
I think that's a great idea.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes for the following meetings as written. June 7th, 2023, September 6th, 2023, September 7th, 2022, October 5th, 2022, November 2nd, 2022, December 7th, 2022, January 4th, 2023, February 1st, 2023, and March 1st, 2022.
23.
So I've made a motion to
I'll
approve
second it.
all of them.
I second the motion.
I just have a couple of comments. Some names aren't spelled correctly in a number of them.
Okay,
In particular Sheila Filipowski.
okay.
And in a number, Joanna sent me some comments regarding the verbiage in a couple of the motions. She is saying that we should be saying the motion to approve the application for, where we have a motion where we've approved an application. I don't know whether people have, we say that verbiage sometimes and we say it a little differently other times, but if people are okay with that and not changing it, is everybody okay?
Semantics.
Yeah.
Say it one way or say it
Approved it.
another.
I have to also say, I want to thank Stacy because we sort of started from scratch on these things. These were all approved, not all of them, but most of them were approved a long time ago, I should say. And they were going to be amended and posted, et cetera, for the website, and it just never happened. So we went back as to the best of our ability to put everything back into what you see here today. And I know it took, I spent quite a bit of time, so I know Stacy spent even more time. So I just want to thank Stacy for doing that.
Great.
Now, the only other thing I want to say is that for some of these, there weren't, let's say for Janet Benjamin's, a number of these, she did not attend because she wasn't a member yet. So how
I always thought we
For
could
voting?
still vote.
You can vote.
you can vote?
Still vote.
Can you
You
can still vote
because
even
she's
though
a member now.
even
Yeah.
though you weren't a member at the
Yeah.
time that
Yeah.
the minutes or the meeting
Because
is
I
held?
actually think
Same.
if you miss a meeting, you can still.
You can
vote
see it on the video.
Yeah, but
minutes.
I'm just saying in this case, the person wasn't a member yet because she was Janet replaced Sheila, so.
You know,
I don't think.
there's nothing that requires you to recuse from vote, even if you weren't at the meeting, even if you weren't on the committee at the time. There's nothing if you go through Robert's rules and all that
Oh,
stuff.
okay, I just.
I know it sounds counterintuitive and most people just err on the side of caution and makes sense,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
technically. On any committee, you're empowered to vote
Mhm.
and no one can take that away from you, so.
Right.
You can always vote on the
Yeah.
minutes and just to put a finer point on it, technically, the minutes are assumed to be correct unless someone actually has adjustments. So they're always assumed to be correct, and
Mhm.
therefore approved unless someone have, but no one does it that way, so.
And I have another question because I think another individual from town hall here told me that the clerk of the committee does not have to sign off on the minutes. And that was a question that was sent to me from an individual. And it's my understanding that's not necessary. Is-
Mary, this is Wayne. Janet has her hand raised on Zoom.
Oh, Janet?
Oh, well, I was waiting till she finished, but
No,
thank
that's
you,
okay.
Wayne.
Yeah.
Well, Mary, you raised a question that I was at the meetings, but technically I hadn't been sworn in. And if you were going to adjust for that, I was only sworn in about a month ago.
Mm.
So you'd have to change all of those votes where you counted me in.
I don't think I counted you in on votes. Were you,
Yeah.
you were
Okay.
asking about voting on the slate of
Minutes,
minutes.
yeah.
Would it be
Yeah, yeah.
appropriate for you to vote
All right,
on meetings that you weren't?
That you weren't, that Sheila, that Sheila had your position before you joined us. That
all right,
you weren't on the committee. That's what I was questioning.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Dan that made
The
a
motion.
motion and Ed seconded to approve the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sets of minutes. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-0.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. So we can get those onto the website and
I'll correct the spelling of
look like
Sheila's
we're,
last
look
name.
like we're
Okay.
we're a real committee here. Does anybody have anything? Oh, Stacy passed out and we'll have it for everybody else. I asked her to put together the meeting schedule through town meeting with the new dates. You see, for those of you that aren't here, maybe.
I'll email it out.
Email it out because it's just one page.
Yep.
Yeah. So Stacy's going to email it out to everybody, so you'll get it. And I want to thank Stacy for that. And I'm going to be working on the annual report that's going to be due to the town clerk shortly. And I'll hope to have it in draft form for our next meeting. Any other questions, comments, issues?
So we'll put a packet together ahead of the next meeting with whatever we have at that point, and then so folks can pick it up before that meeting. And
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah,